Hello and welcome to another edition of Bob's Poker Party. Um, I had a poker video that I ended up not being able to upload to YouTube because I used the Go settings for it, and I ended up with a wonky table where you could see like 2/3 of the players. But I had a straight flush. It's really sad, and honestly, I was more witty than usual, which Um, well, it's hard to do, but I did it, and now I can't use it. So you've got like 1 or 2 days if you want to go to Twitch, then you can listen to the commentary. But I mean, like there's two guys over here, and the hand where I get the straight flush, um, the I'm in a hand with somebody over here, so it's really not as fun. And he folds anyway. I think I overbet the straight flush. You should really be betting really small with a straight flush. But anyway, on to today. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at bubble play in multi-table tournaments. And the first thing that I want to tell you about this tournament is it is a $5 multi-table tournament, $500 guarantee. So the first thing about this tournament is I should not be in this tournament because you can see my bankroll. It's $116. When you're talking about multi-table tournaments, and I'll explain exactly why this is in a minute, you don't want to be investing more than 1%, at most 2% of your bankroll in any one tournament. The reason for this has a lot to do with what we're going to be doing in the bubble play. And on the bubble, which if you're not familiar with poker terms, I know that some of you are beginners, and I'm actually I'm doing this whole thing for mostly rank beginners in poker because I'm not good enough to teach anyone else. So it's mainly for entertainment value. Maybe you'll pick up some stuff, but in a tournament, the bubble is the place where the last person doesn't make any money. Okay, so we've got Queen 4 suited. It's raised under the gun +1. 3-to-1 pot odds says that this should almost definitely be a call. But I want to keep it, well, I should really be playing this hand. Okay, so I have a pair of 4s. I really don't have much of a hand. He's raising early, which still indicates a strong hand, even as the blinds go up. So I'm going to be getting out of here. But 3-to-1 pot odds means he could have ace-queen, and I'm still actually getting favorable odds on my money. So he's got me dominated, and I'm still in a place where I win the hand enough that it makes sense to be there. Of course, Queen 4, another problem with it is, just like you saw, it's not a very playable hand. Queen 5 is a good hand, so we are going to be raising. And if he goes, oh, wow. Okay, now we have a flush draw, so we're just going to raise him all in, see what he does. Queen 10 of clubs. So, alright, good hand. Here's the thing about bubble play. You would think the idea in a multi-table tournament, the difference between getting in the money and not being in the money is a huge deal, but it's really not. And players think that it's a huge deal, and it's really not. And the way to take advantage of that is to take advantage of the players that are trying to sneak into the money. So what you do is, instead of all these players that are like, let's go ahead and spend 3 or 4 hours of my life trying to pay $5 to win $10, so I just worked for $1.50 an hour for the last 3 hours. Instead of that, we don't want to be in 18th place, which is where the bubble is. We don't want to get right on past the bubble and go out number 18. We want to win the tournament. And that was why we were in from the very beginning. So we take advantage of these players that are trying to sneak into the money, by being as relentlessly aggressive as possible. And you can see here we are already down to 22 players, so there's 4 players left. We were number 1, now we're down to number 10, but it's not, that wasn't too big of a hit. Um, I would have expected him to be much tighter there, not calling with Queen 10, but honestly I don't know this table very well, so this is one thing we have to do as well, is get a good idea of who the table is. Um, we have played against this guy before, so we already have some information on him. He's generally tight, plays aggressively when he has a hand. Um, but when we get a better sense of the table, we'll know what kind of spots to pick better. In early position, where we're not near the dealer button, we're still going to be more passive. We're going to be playing better hands instead of worse hands. And I think 95 was just a guy who got in with a weird hand again. So we are going to peg him as somebody not to steal chips from. I'm not even going to peg him loose aggressive. I'm going to peg him orange, which is kind of maniacal. He's like willing to go all in with weird stuff. He shouldn't have called all in there, I don't think, with a 10 high flush draw. I really wish we'd have hit the flush, but I mean that's neither here nor there. What we're going to try to do on the bubble is find the weak, tight players, the people who are folding and folding and folding, and we're going to ask them for their chips. When we're in position, we're going to be asking more relentlessly. When we're out of position, say under the gun, we're still going to be tighter, but we're also going to be opening up our range. Because you can see it looks like I've got 14,261 chips. Wow, man, I could just coast on to the final table. But that is not going to get us there, because these chips will only go around the table 20 times at this blind level. In fact, it'll go around less than 20 times at this blind level, because you can see every time I go around, I'm costing myself 1,300 in chips. So I'm really only going around 10 times. So I've got 20 big blinds, and the blinds and the antes are getting up to the point where it's really lucrative to steal them. And especially when we get to that bubble, people are going to be way, way, way more tight, and they're going to... What happened to that thing? Did I... Oh, we're down here in the running section. We're down to 21 players. So on that last 3, people start to really tighten up. And if we can start to take advantage of that and make sure that people know that, or make sure that the people who will give us our chips are donating, like maybe this guy, donation, we can build our chip stack to the point where we can bully stacks coming out of the bubble and seek to really put ourselves in a position to get to that top spot. Because we want to shoot for first. If we hit second, that's fine. But if we don't hit second or third, I'd rather bust out. Because by the time you get down to 4th place, see, you're up to 9 times your money, where you're almost triple that right here. Okay, so I've already pushed once here, and I don't know much about this guy yet. Actually, I played against this guy earlier, and I didn't tag him, so I don't remember who he is. We're just going to fold this time. 6-9 suited is actually a good hand to be aggressive and try to steal with, but I like to do it more from the dealer button than the small blind, because if he calls, we're going to be out of position for the whole hand. And I'd rather have a chance to have him check and I bet and take the pot if I'm going to be playing a hand like 6-9 suited. And we're not really all that interested in our cards, but we have to take those into consideration. What we're more interested in is good opportunities. We're looking for the people who are trying to sneak into the money. And they'll start to become more apparent. They're just going to be folding every hand. Okay? We could have taken a stab at that, but I just took a stab with Queen 4, and I don't really want to be messing around again, although now we're starting to get into some not so good territory, because we're under 20 big blinds, so we're at what, 18-ish big blinds, and once you get under 20 big blinds, you don't have the opportunity to raise pre-flop and then have a caller or a re-raiser and call that bet and then get to a flop and have any chance at anybody ever folding the pot again. And so your options become very, very limited. You get to the point where you're just trying to shove all your chips in. And that seems weird. I've got 14,000 in my stack and all I'm thinking about is should I be shoving? But mathematically, and it doesn't mean these guys are thinking that way, but that's what's going to give us an edge. Mathematically, they're going to have pot odds to call us once we get down to the flop. Because let's say I do a raise to 2,000, which is a pretty standard raise. So now my stack is 12,000, and this guy calls, so now we've got 5,000, almost 6,000 in the pot, and then I go all in. He's already 1.5 to 1 in terms of the odds. So at that point, he only needs like 40% of the hand, close 37% of the hand to be able to call me with the right pot odds. If we get past the flop, now we're pretty much pot committed because I've already put a bet in, he's called the bet, my stack's gone down by that much, so now I'm down to like 8,000 and the pot's grown to close to 20. So I'm putting in 8,000 and he's calling for 28 and in the pot. So he's getting 3 to 1, almost 4 to 1 on his money, and now he only needs 25% to call. So you can see the difference and how quickly the pot odds will shift, and therefore the best thing to do is to find a good spot, get all your chips in, you'll get to see 5 cards, and you have a chance that they're just going to fold pre-flop, and you increase your stack by 10%. So those are the types of things that we're going to be looking for. Other players are not going to be doing that. So you got 25 and 18, they just had a limp and a call, or a limp call on the small blind and then the big blind checks, and then they're just going to check the hand down. You're going to see this a lot. People are playing very passively. Just like Warren Buffett said when I was talking to him last week, you make your money by doing the opposite of the crowd. Be aggressive, or be excited, or I forget exactly what he said. It was a week ago. I mean, but be excited when other people are fearful. Be enthusiastic when others are fearful. It was something like that. And the idea is when people tighten up around the bubble, we're going to use that as an opportunity to increase our chip stack. Of course, you're going, Bob, you're saying all this, but now you're folding all your hands and you're down 4,000 since we started this. And first thing I'm going to say is, man, you got a weird voice. But the second thing is, you're right. We just haven't had that spot yet, but we are looking for it. We're taking stock of the players. You have a raise, just a call. We know that this guy's not playing correctly, but combined with the fact that he limped on the small blind, we have an idea of a looser, more passive player, and we're going to just tag him that way because that's all the information we have. Fold, most likely, but we'll see. Okay. And I'm not exactly sure what that would... Ordinarily, that would mean don't go against him without good values, because what you can do earlier in the tournament, you take a loose passive player and you can say, okay, I can take this guy, and when I have good cards, I can value bet, which is a bet that we make when we think we're ahead in the hand. We want them to call and pay us off with our better hand. So we have ace-king, and the flop comes with a king. Okay, so now we're down to hand. This is a very lucrative time if it lasts. It might not last. If it doesn't, we've made it into the money, but we're still going to have to we're going to have to do some work because we're not extremely in the best spot in terms of, I mean, number 10's not bad, but our chip stack isn't where I'd like it to be. You want to be above 20 big blinds at the minimum. If you can't avoid that, see, that was a good play. That's a nice aggressive play. And we're not going to be calling off. You know, we're not going to go, hey, we're going to be aggressive, because the reason we're shoving pre-flop is to get that 400, 800, and all those antes. When you add that up, it comes up to like 13, 1400. And so we're increasing our chip stack every time we get that fold. When we get called, we are going to be behind. Okay, let's see. Are we still on the bubble? We're still on the bubble. If it gets folded around, we're going all in with Jack 9 offsuit. And you're going, man, you are crazy. This guy's the big stack. And all of a sudden, we don't care about this hand at all. I was rip-raring, ready to go. And now I am totally folding. I don't like that hand at all. It's the most pish-posh hand I've ever seen in my life. And I will never speak of it again, except in this voice and in such a derogatory manner as anyone in the room will be bored to tears just listening to me. And yet I will go on. So this is where the tournament gets down to hand-to-hand action. And we can kind of take stock of the other players. I haven't seen too much action from these guys. This guy's raised a couple of times. He raised once and got called by this guy, I believe. It might have been this guy. Maybe could be old age, or it could be the fact that I'm talking that's messing with my memory. Again, if it goes all the way around to us, we're going all in. 10-8 offsuit is not the best hand. I understand that, but we're really just looking for opportunities to pick up a little bit more chips on our way through the bubble. And again, if we go out now, it's not a big deal because we're not going to make much more money going up one more place. If we can, oh, nope, yeah, not doing that. So he's actually not tight passive. He was passive twice and aggressive twice. We're going to tag him red. I've got loose aggressive, loose passive, tight aggressive, tight passive. This is the guy you really want in the small blind and big blind. If they're in the small blind and big blind, and I really know that they're tight and passive, they're not playing a lot of hands. When they play, they call. When they call, they fold a lot. When they don't fold, they call instead of raising. And then they show down aces and they caught a set. And you're like, wow, who is this guy? He's in the small blind and big blind. I got two of those guys. I'm going all in with any two cards. 10-9 suited. 10-9 offsuit was probably about the lowest I'd go all in, except for the fact that I've been folding for a couple of orbits. I'm going to loosen my range up quite a bit because I'm more likely to get a fold. And again, if you look at the math, let's discount aces, kings, queens, jacks, any big pair. Let's say that any small pair is going to be folding. Okay, now we're going all in. And this guy's raised a few times, I think. 73 raises. Okay, never mind. If he raised, we were going to have to think about the hand. But right now, it's not a thought at all. And we just really hope this guy calls with like ace 3. More like ace 7. Because ace 3 has a straight draw. A weird straight draw, but... Okay, so that's basically what we do, except I had ace king that time. So, now we're past the bubble. And it's still a good idea to look at who's trying to work their way up the money chain. And you look, between now, 18th place and 9th place, we are making no money. At 9th place, we are making $2.50. So we really don't care about going out between now and then. What we want is by 9th place, we want to have a nice chip stack. If we don't want to have a chip stack at all. The worst thing you can do is get into the final table and you're dribbling off your last few big blinds because you want to have a good chance to play some poker and get to that top spot. If you don't get to the top spot, you shouldn't be playing in the tournament. If you bust out, it's not a big deal because you want to be gunning for the top spot It's kind of the shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land among the stars, except not quite as poetic. If you shoot for first place, you're gonna get into the money. You're gonna get into the money more often than you would just trying to dribble in, or at least you'll get past those first few money spots that don't even really matter at all. Um, oh wow, that's called a suck out. And you're going to shoot into those better money spots. Plus, you're going to have your opportunities to hit first place. You're not going to hit first place every time. That's not the point. The point is to take your opportunities when they present themselves. And when you do that, and you do that often enough, and you know the math, and you have it solid where you're backing up your plays, you will have better chances in tournaments. Okay, so Queen Jack was good. Ace Queen was good. He might have raised a little bit loose, and we can take that into account just a little bit. Kind of any two suited cards is good for this guy. Again, any push, we're gonna fold pocket sevens, because if we call, the best we can hope for is something like ace six. Any other way, I mean, let's say this guy's pushing with jack 8. We're 50-50. So there's no reason to go 50-50 for a third of our chip stack. Okay, so he's got ace jack. We're still 50-50 there. But there's also the opportunity that he's going all in with something like 10s or even 8s. And all of a sudden we're crushed. We're crushed. We're crying all the way home. And here we're just going to limp in. If he hadn't have limped in, then we would have just checked. Or if he hadn't have limped in, we would have shoved. But since he limped in and it was only 500 to call, we can kind of regard ourselves in that instance as having the full 20 big blinds to be able to limp in with a hand like 3-3. And now we have ace-ace, so we're obviously going to be folding any two cards come at us, unless 25 goes all in. 25? 25? Are you my friend, 25? You can be my... Oh, he's not going to be my friend. Nobody's my friend. And now we're going to do the same thing that we do. Oh, yes! We just shove and hope. And in this case, we're hoping for a call. But... Oh, good. Now he needs... Oh, he's got a jack. He's got a jack. He didn't get a jack. Okay. Now we're back to 25 big blinds. And everything that I just told you is... it's completely... I mean, I'm trying to describe to you what we're trying to do, and I've shoved with ace-king, and I've shoved with aces so far. So I apologize for getting good cards at the timings when I would be shoving with other things. But getting aces on the dealer button, especially if your opponents understand this type of poker strategy, like this guy's going to be shoving wide because he knows what's up, that's just a sweet spot, because now we just jumped to third in the tournament. We've got a really good opportunity to see if we can bully some bigger stacks that are now smaller than us. Now, we're still going to be paying attention because we want to see how tight people are. If we look, 32 and 22 seem pretty tight. So when they're in the big blind and small blind, we're going to be trying to attack. Limp in says I'm out. But even if he didn't limp in, 10 jack with 6 people left to act behind us is not the type of hand we want to be raising unless we've got a ridiculously tight table. And we'll see if that presents itself. And it does quite often in these tournaments, especially when you get to the final table. People just kind of check out sometimes, and they're just like, let's just sit out and wait for aces and see if we can climb up the money ladder. And if you're aggressive at the right times, you can win the tournament. Now, poker is a double-edged sword, which is a weird analogy, but just stay with me. the right play can yield you the wrong results, and vice versa. So a lot of times these guys who are just trying to suck it into the money are going to do better than somebody who's trying to be aggressive. And that's totally fine. They're just not going to do better often enough if you play correctly. And in the midst of all of this, you have to understand the difference between, oh, poor 89. 89, 89, 89. Oh man, I feel for the guy. When you have ace king, I believe aces, you'll see aces like once every 300 times, because aces are 221 to 1 against, and then you're dropping one card from that ace because you already have an ace with the ace king. So now aces, the chances against that, I don't know if they double. I think they double. So it's like 1 in 400 times that you're going to see aces against ace king. He just saw it twice in two times in a row that he had ace king. Somebody else had aces. That is okay. Pocket threes, early position. We're still going to be folding that. $148 chips to 16K in 6 hands. Yeah, that's true. But the good thing is this guy is pretty crazy, and we're going to look for opportunities to see if we can play a hand with him later on, and just hope that we, oh, that's one of those places where you could have raised with pocket threes. But even now, I mean, you got all kinds of weird boards that you're, yeah, see, it's just there's too many opportunities for you to hit your set and get knocked out. And also, if you raise, somebody can re-raise, then you got to fold. If you limp, somebody can raise, and then you got to fold, because you want to be playing 20 to 1. Now we're getting 4.2 to 1, so he's got a min raise. We're going to be careful because we don't know much about 17 yet, but we do have a 3. So let's go ahead and bet out, because he min raised. So let's see if he's interested in this hand. Okay, he's interested. So we're going to check. And if he bets, we just got to assume he's got a pair that's better than 3. Maybe a 5. Who knows? I mean, he could have nothing. He could have just floated us, which is where you, when you're in position, you act last in the hand. You call behind. Okay, now we're starting to see a little bit of a pattern. We're going to fold 5-7. But if he's raising every hand like this, just 2,000, 2,000, 2,000. Nope, not this hand. Okay, so we've still got 20 big blinds. We're in 6th place, which isn't bad. Although you don't want to really care about what your play was really checking if he's in first, which I figured he was. So we're going to be raising here to 2,500. We've got an ace. We're on the dealer button. These guys are tight. If we get played back at, we're out of the hand because they haven't really been playing a lot. And this is where we're going to be getting a lot of our chips. Is these guys, they're like, I've got 17 and 19,000, and I can just wait, and we'll be in the later stages of the tournament, and everything's going to be good. We'll just chill out for a while, maybe take a nap, hit the fold button unless we have aces, and that'll be fine. That's where we're going to be getting our stack. And well, so you can see, or you can't see yet, but from what I'm about to say, that this is, I'm just playing that strategy because I forgot what I had until I just remembered I had ace 6. But I mean, pretty soon I'm going to be doing that any 2 cards because these guys are just folding. They're just not part of the action. Now this guy, when he's on the big blind, I want to have better values when I raise against him because I don't like him very much. He's aggressive. He's got the big stack. He can knock me out. I'm the second big stack at the table, although these guys they can really cripple me. I can knock them out, and that's being crippled, getting knocked out. As we saw, 25 was crippled, and he found his way back in from some weird stroke of luck and just hit a bunch of stuff in a row, and that's he's back in. But when you're knocked out, when you don't have any chips left, there's not much you can do from that point. Unless you can bribe somebody for their seat, and they'll just give you their poker account. And look, see, we've been playing for so much longer, and we're still, I mean, we've made $5 on the tournament. And so this is why we want to be aggressive, keep our chip stack above 20 big blinds. If we're below 20, we don't really want to mess around. You know, we just want to get our chips in and see what happens. And that's not exactly what I've been saying, but yeah. Okay, folds around, raise, and a fold. We're gonna see, because when it folds around, this is my best buddy right here. If he's doing that every time it gets folded around, when he's in the dealer button, the small blind, and sometimes in the cutoff, but he's not doing it from under the gun, we're gonna start re-raising him all in, and it doesn't matter what we have. Because we can't let him push us around. And secondly, the 3-bet at that point is a very profitable play. Now this guy's got a real hand. These two guys, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I didn't think he had a hand, but I think that he might. Because this guy's just wonky. I don't expect him to last too much longer. I mean, at this point, our chip stacks are so volatile, and the way he plays is a volatile style. And of course, I'm saying go all in with any two cards on the dealer button against these two guys, but that's opportunistic. He's just kind of playing. 25 folded ace queen. Maybe. I don't know. He had ace king. I trust 18's ace king more than I trust ace queen from 25. But I mean, hey, a guy can make a good laydown every once in a while. Anyway, yeah, I knew he had a hand because he is, as we shall say, tight and aggressive. I have a lot of weird accents. I'm going to try to take up the airspace with them. Most of them aren't from any known country or region of the world. Queen 5 is not exactly where I want to be going all in against 17. Till I get a better read on where he's folding and what he's playing with. If he's willing to call off, I'm going to be playing a little bit more passively. And I know we said we need to be playing aggressively, but it's selective. We need to select our aggression to give us the best opportunity for the first thing, a fold. And the second thing, a call in the wrong spot. And the third thing, a suck out. So first we want a fold. A lot of times, even when we have aces, it's iffy whether we want to fold. And now we really need to ramp it up, because look, these antes are getting to be about 15% of our stack. So especially once we go through again, the blinds and antes are going to be chewing us up. And anybody who's sitting there just waiting, with the possible exception of player 17, is waiting for these guys to go out. By the time they go out, their chip stack is going to be so worthless, it's not even going to be funny. So we'd rather bust out before we get another 250, or maybe even just $2. What is it? Yeah, another $2, and we get another 375 going up from there. Then get into that spot and not have a place to go any higher. So we're risking $2.50 or $2 for the opportunity to make $100. And since he's in first, we're going to fold because he hasn't shown any action recently, and he's got enough of a chip stack where he can just tear through us. Of course, if it fold, I'm going all in. That's just how it is. If he keeps doing that, I'm going to pop it. Okay, now we get to see what he's raising with, whether he'll fold to a re-raise, and what he'll call with. If he folds, that's a good sign for us to play against him later. Okay, so he raised with a pretty good hand, and then, of course, he'll call off with that. That was a good call off as well, because by the time he raises and he gets the re-raise, he's got the total wait, what happened to oh, we changed 25 to tight aggressive? No, it's not 25. 25's crazy. 25's crazy. Okay, wait, 32 is tight aggressive. There we go. Okay, now this is one of those opportunities where you just went all in. Now you get a real hand. You go all in again and hope they don't have a better one, but they still call you. Maybe. Really, you just don't even want to call with tens because you're looking at ace jack, ace queen, ace king, possibly ace nine or something like that. Even ace nine isn't too big of a dog against you, and ace queen is a straight up coin flip. Since we've gone all in twice, even though we had pocket tens one of the times, they don't know that. So if we get to the dealer button, we still will be going all in a more wide range. We're going to be taking more cards, but we're not going to be doing any two cards because they're going to start. We don't know how they're going to interpret that. All they know is that we went in twice in a row and nobody called. And people don't generally accept that for too long before they start calling you off with possibly worse values. So you don't want to have them calling wide. So what you want to do when they start to call wider, you tighten up, and hopefully you end up with a mismatch where when they do call, you've got them outgunned. And so that's kind of the psychology of it. The interesting mathematics is once you get down to I think it's 10 big blinds and you're on the dealer button, you can turn over. If you have king 9 or better, you can show them your hand and go all in, and you will still show a profit over, like a million hands. The mathematics says they're not going to have the hand to call you often enough, and when they do call you, because of the times that they had to fold, the blinds make up for the deficit that you're going to be trying to draw out against. So this guy limps in. That puts me very happy at tight passive. I'm very happy to see a tight passive guy right here. Now we've got queen 9. We're just going to lead out and bet this. If this guy goes all in, we fold. If this guy goes all in, we hit the timer button and we go, okay, what just happened? So we're going to bet 3,000. We've got top pair. That's a really strong hand at this point. Okay. I said we were going to fold. I hope this guy goes all in. Okay. 9,000. See, we're not going to risk half our stack with a guy that we just labeled as tight passive. Because the one thing about a tight passive player, when they do go all in, you're not going to be beating them with top pair. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. So we took a little setback. It's not what we would like from the big blind when we have queen 9 and we get to check and we catch top pair. Okay, so he hasn't been raising a lot. We're still going to give him some credit. Oh wait, he has been raising a lot, hasn't he? I'm going to let him do that one more time before I go all in with ace-5 against him. Because we still can't say that he's raising. Okay, so now we get to see. Okay. All right. Now, I'm really glad we didn't go all in, because I'm assuming, based on my understanding of this guy, that he had a hand there. So if we would have gone all in trying to hit him, we would have run into super this guy. And this is how you chip up in a tournament. So I'm not exactly sure. Let's say we're under the gun. I'm not exactly sure what the hand ranges are, but I would say anything from like pocket 7s up and maybe ace 8 suited up, we're going to be going all in. And then it's going to very quickly go south from there. I mean, we're just very quickly going to go to, I mean, and this particular dealer button, so he's raising with good values. And we can also take a look at who's paying attention to that. Because if he's thinking and then he goes all in and he calls and he ends up showing a medium hand. See, this guy's not. Oh, well, okay. Okay, so, yeah. I mean, if he has a premium hand, obviously he can shove. But against this guy, it is possible to shove, to fold pocket jacks there. Okay. We are in early position. We've got king 9 suited. '18 is more aggressive. Oh, let's put him down as loose aggressive and put down that he folded to a 3 bet after raising the dealer button. We don't have that dynamic going much anymore, but we do have. Ooh, see, this would be a good time to shove and get called, but you don't know that before the flop. 7 jack. They wouldn't have called, but anyway. Jack 7. We fold. I really don't think king 9 suited is what we're looking for to shove from that position. But notice 2760. Let's say that we shove over the course of the next 5 orbits. We end up keeping up and picking up 5 extra pots. We just keep up with the blinds and pick up 5 extra pots. Now we're at 30,000. We're a middle stack, and we are really fighting for first. Right now, we're one of the lower stacks. Okay. Pocket 3s, 1200. This may be where we go out, but we're going to shove it. This might not be the place where you're looking at, because that's more than 10 big blinds. Yeah, this was a really loose shove. I should be waiting for like pocket 8s, pocket 7s there. But let's see if we get a walk. Let's see. You got to go through a lot of players when you're under the gun. That's why you don't want to be opening up with a wide range. The good thing is it's early and we have met aces and we got knocked out most likely. All right. Yep. So the loose shove earned us 250. I feel like I played that pretty well up until that point. I should have just hit the fold button. I saw a pair and I said to myself, Bob, that's so good. A pair. You had a pair, Bob. Bob, you had a pair. And then my head left. And then I clicked. All right. Hope you've enjoyed this. Little bit of a foray into the strategies when the blinds get higher in a multi-table tournament. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them below. If you have any comments, feel free to do that. If you think I played badly, keep it to yourself.